Yep, we are live. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday night. And we still have a couple of minutes to our session. So, we wanted to take this time to get to know the speakers better. So, for today's session, we have Florentin, Alexandra, and Jet. Yeah. So, could you share with us what movie or show have you watched recently that you would like to recommend to us and why?
So recently I've watched this movie called Minority Report. It's not a very new movie. It's from 2002. So
Wow.
technology is deeply integrated into our lives, right? And the potential for abuse becomes quite significant. So in this movie, Minority Report, the police utilizes technology to arrest criminals even before they commit a crime. So this reminds me of many of the machine learning projects that require consideration of the ethics and
Wow.
Well, yeah, Jet, I love how your casual answer can still tie back to the theme today. Now, I just need to revisit the answer I want to give. So maybe you ladies can go first while I figure out a better movie to recommend.
I mean, because like I've not really watched any movies recently. It's more like YouTube watching, and it's nothing to do with like machine learning or anything like that. It's actually this like violin comedy duo called Two Set Violin. Two Set, and I don't know, they're like meme mods. It's kind of hilarious, like how they also like do like myth busting, like how that actor is like faking the whole violin playing kind of thing. Yeah.
Sounds cool. We'll definitely check it out. What about you, Florentin?
I recently watched An Hell Agent. It was starred by Natalie Portman. So sorry, it's not also related to machine learning, but I think it's a movie about a group of women who try to save the world by going into a radioactive area. The thing that I like the most about the movie is because it shows like characters that are normally perceived as like unable, and then it shows their growth process into like becoming stronger individuals. And I don't know, just the aesthetic of the movie is really good. Like when I watch it during the morning before I work, right, and it feels like I just came out of meditation. So yeah, I love movies that give me that kind of feeling.
Amazing. Okay. So yes, a lot of things to watch after this. Minority Report is probably a good one to start just to exercise my brain, and also it's a pretty awesome movie to rewatch. And yeah, thanks Alexandra and Fontaine for like your recommendation as well. For those tuning in, yeah, feel free to check it out. We're not endorsed, but we welcome you to watch what they have suggested as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, everyone. So yeah, I think just nice it's 8 p.m. now. So we'll be starting our session soon, and meanwhile we'll be moving the speakers to the backstage, and we'll see you in a short while.
See you, folks. Hi, everyone. A big hello to all of you again. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jia Sing, and we are both from the Google Developer Relations team.
So thank you once again for joining us for La Kopi tonight. We hope everyone is keeping safe and well wherever you are. As usual, do give yourself a shout out on the live chat and let us know where are you tuning in from.
In case we have friends joining us today who haven't had the opportunity to join us for our past La Kopis at Developers Space, let us share a little more about who we are and what we do. Google Developers Space is a home for developers and startups from around the region to learn, connect, engage, and be inspired. We want to empower and connect the community to our people, programs, network, and technologies.
La Kopi at Developer Space is a monthly open mic night for the developer community to learn, connect, and be inspired by each other. Every month, a tech team is selected and developers submit their topic to be shared with the community. This month, our topic is data science. Tonight, we have a total of 3 speakers dialing in. They will each be sharing for about 10 minutes, and you're welcome to submit your question on our YouTube or Facebook live chat, which we will answer after each speaker session. For this La Kopi, we have Florentin from Traveloka, sharing how you can automate boring stuff using data science. Very excited to hear about it. Alexandra from Synthesis using topic modeling to dig into tweeted requests. And Jet on generative and probabilistic modeling framework for reinforcement learning.
Yep. Without further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Florentin. She's the data analyst at Traveloka, and she's also one of our Women Developer Academy graduates, and we can't wait to hear about her project. Today, she'll be sharing how you can create an automatic cron job for backing up any Slack channel you want to BigQuery. Over to you, Florentin.
Okay, thank you, Justin and Joey, for the introduction. It was such a good introduction. Today, I'm going to talk about how to automate boring stuff data science way. Okay, so first I want to thank Women Developer Academy. It is a program that is held by Google in order to teach us how to do public speaking well, and also for the opportunity to share the stage with a fellow Women Developer Academy graduate here, Alexandra Cool. Currently, I'm working as a data analyst at Traveloka, and in my free time, I also contribute to Generation Girl and Data Science Indonesia. In the past, I used to be a data scientist at OVO and Taralight. Both of them are digital wallet services, and I work mostly on the lending products. I also graduated from physics, particularly from Bandung Institute of Technology. It is a university in my beloved town, Bandung. Okay, today we're going to talk about why Slack is my favorite chat app, and then I'm going to introduce SlackHive. After that, we will explore the data that is gotten from SlackHive. Why is Slack my favorite chat app? First, because it's very interactive. I love how you can use emojis there, and then you can quote people, and then you can just reply people's chats very easily. And then second is it's because it's very friendly for programmers. You can easily share code blocks and snippets, and then you can also, and then it also has like a very colorful feature with it, which is very nice. And its friendly nature for programmers means that it's very easy to integrate Slack with third-party apps. So for example, you have like a deadline that is coming up, and then you want to mention someone about the deadline, then you can just hook it up to the Confluence or Google Calendar in order to remind that person about the task. And also, it's very easy for you to create a custom app. So for example, you have a certain app that is not available through Slack's third-party app, then you can just create your own custom app in order to accommodate to that need. And the last but not least is my guilty pleasure. You can create as much channels as you want. So why did I highlight this? Because as you can see here in my workspace, okay, so a little intro. So currently I'm working at Traveloka, but if there's any security guy here, don't freak out because I created this material before I joined when I was still in OVO. So currently, rest assured, I don't have access to the workspace anymore. So this is just for the presentation purpose. So back to the topic. So you can see here, my channels are mostly started with this logo, which is the logo. I have way more channels with this logo compared to the channels with the hashtag logo. And why is that? It's because I tend to use Slack as my personal work diary. So I use it for any single code that I do, and then like I also use it for every single insight that I have, or like any ideas for the work that I want. So it's becoming more and more about my knowledge base, and I use Slack to store all of them. But what happens when you lose access to the workspace? Should you copy and paste every single thing in the channel, in all channels, which will take forever, or is there a better alternative? So what's the solution for this? I use Slack's API. So if you can see here, among the many utilities for Slack, it has incoming webhooks, and then you can use / command to perform a certain command. And then among all the others, I use bots for it. And Slackbot Slack gives you two kinds of tokens. The first is the bot token, and the second is the user token. Both of them actually have the similar features, but in this project, I use the user token because it gives me the functionality that I need. Okay, So the problem is solved. I can use Slackbot in order to retrieve all of my diaries. But another problem arises where I have to manually run the script every time. So for example, I want to store it like weekly or monthly. Then can I do it not manually, but can I automate that instead? So another solution for this problem is that I can use BigQuery. Okay, now after we talk about all the problems and how to solve them, let's take a look at how we are going to implement the solution. So my plan is I'm going to use cron job, and then I'm going to automate it every 1 a.m. So you can see here that we are going to start the cron job at 1 a.m. And then after that, Python has to validate the user token to Slack. After the Python validates the user token, then the Python is going to send a notification to Slack saying that, hey, I already got you. I recognize that this is you. So I'm going to, so go ahead and do whatever you need. And then after Python sends a notification to the Slack, which is me, the script will get all the chats that I need from the specified channel. And then after the chats are got from the channel, the chats are stored by Python in the form of pandas data frame. After the chats are stored, then the pandas data frame are going to be uploaded into BigQuery. After the data frame is successfully uploaded into BigQuery, Python is going to send notification to Slack saying that, hey, your job is successful. Now, what's next? And then after that, it's going to go back here at 1 a.m. Now that we already know the flow, let's arrange, Now that we already know the flow, what kind of tools we can use in order to implement the flow? So as you can see here, we have Python, and then we have Slack API, and then also Google's BigQuery, and the cron tab. If we arrange them this way, then it has the form that you can see here. So let's start from the cron tab. So at 1 a.m., cron tab is going to start the job. And then as usual, Python is going to send the token validation to Slack. After Slack is able to recognize that this is me, that is trying to start the job, then Slack is going to send the data that I need from a specified channel to the Python, right? And then after Python receives the channel data, then it will have two parallel process here. So it's going to upload the backup data into Google BigQuery, and then after that, it's going to trigger the Slack calf. In this case, it's my Slack bot to send the notification. After the Slack calf gets the permission and the trigger from Python to send notification to me, signifying whether or not the job is successful, then Slack calf is going to send another Slack notification to me, saying whether or not it's successful. And then after that, the job ends, and then it's going to start again at 1 a.m. So now let's take a look at how this folds out in a live demo. So here I have my cron tab, right? And then here I'm just going to edit my cron tab. I'm going to remove this command. So yeah, because this is for demo purposes, I just made it for 1 minute. Okay. Now it's like this. So it should be running. Okay. So because this is a bit long, so if this job is successful, it's supposed to give you the indication that the backup is being started. And then after that, what we want to see is that we want it to be successful. So it's going to look like this. So now, because in my place it's 7:11, so we expect to see something that is of this date, which is 25th August 2020, but the time is around 1913 or 1914. Okay, let's wait for it. And okay, yeah, it actually finished faster than I thought. So as you can see here, at around 7, the backup started, and then after the backup is being uploaded to BigQuery, we can see the table here. After the table is uploaded here, Python sends another notification to me saying that the backup to BigQuery is successful. So here we can see that the data here, we can see that there is what type it is, and then the text, and then who is the user that sent it to me. In this case, it's myself because I took it from my own private channel. And then there is also the reply count in this case. It means that there's no reply there. Yeah. That's the demo. Okay, since the job actually finished faster than I thought, so I was actually going to use this to fill the time if it takes longer than I thought, but here we go. So if you don't have a workspace, then feel free to always create your own workspace because they have a plan that is free. And you can just go ahead to this link and just explore how you can create your own workspace and the privileges that are attached to it. And then if you have friends or if you are interested in having the opportunity to share about the experience and grow the community, feel free to join the Women Developer Academy. They are going to open their next batch in October. So you get a bot, everyone gets a bot for free, of course. Now let's take a look at the data. So from the data that I got, if we correlate my most productive hours, if we correlate my productivity with the number of chats that I have with other people, then we can say that the more chats I have, then the more productive I am. Even though, like, maybe in reality it's not always the case. But if we take that assumption, that it means that during 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., because I have the most chats here, it means that I'm most productive during those hours. And then how about my most productive days? Here you can see that because I have the most chats on Monday till Friday, so technically I'm more productive from Monday to Friday. How about my months? So apparently I'm most productive during November, even though, actually during November I had an upcoming project that I have to write a lot of codes during that month. So that's why this one particularly stand out. How about my most used words? Because apparently I use Slack for storing a lot of my SQL queries. So Slack becomes the most used word for me. Okay, after this, what's next? So if I have more time after this, I'm going to improve it using particularly this. So I want to be able to use / comments in order to execute certain comment. And then after that, I want to use Google Cloud Functions. So it's more automatic. And then for extracting the words that are most used or most important, I'm going to use this. Okay, the caveat here is that don't worry, because the channel that I use here only belong to my private channels, and the data here is used only for my education purposes. And the takeaway that I hopefully you can get after my session is that data science is not always about modeling. It's about how you can solve problems very effectively using what's in front of you. And then boring repetitive tasks can almost always be automated. And also, if you don't have data, then you can always generate your own data and then play around with it. And also, in order to create a good project, you don't always have to spend any money of it. There's a lot of free resources that you can play with. That's my session. Please feel free to give me any questions.
Thanks for sharing, Florentin. It seems like you are the model worker. Like you were super productive from 10 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m.
Yes, very, very impressive. Something that we all need to learn from.
Yeah.
All right. So while we are waiting for questions to roll in from the live chat, I believe that we have collected some questions during registration as well. Maybe let's start with that.
Yep. So one of the question is, what's the reason for storing chat data in the data frame and inserting it into BigQuery?
Okay, for this project, I'm using Python's library. It's called Pandas GBQ. You can go ahead and Google it. And Pandas GBQ works both ways. So it allows you to upload data from Python to BigQuery. And also you can extract data from BigQuery and read it in the Python environment, in this case, for example, Jupyter Notebook, through in the form of Pandas. So that's the reason I store the data in the form of Pandas data frame before I upload it to BigQuery.
Cool.
Thanks for sharing, Florentin. I think one question came in for you from the live chat.
Okay.
Sorry. Let me, yep. So this is from Amos. He's asking, how do you handle images or non-text like files in your channel? Are these backed up?
Yes. So the great thing about Slack is when you extract the chats, then they are going to give you a link for unstructured data such as images or recordings. So the way it's going to be stored in BigQuery is that it's going to be a link that brings you to the data that stores it.
Thanks, Florentin. Amos, we hope that answered your question. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to comment it on our Facebook live stream or the YouTube live chat. Florentin will still be here. She will join you in the live chat after this. Okay. Jia-Seng, I believe we have more questions. Should we flash them out from the registration?
Yep, I think we can do one more. So another question is, can someone insert data to a SQL table and upload to Google Cloud Storage directly and later be analyzed through BigQuery?
From your question, I assume that you're trying to store data into BigQuery, right? Into Google Cloud Storage first, right? So I never know how to store it in the form of SQL, but I know that you can store the data using CSV or JSON. So you put it in the form of what's called bucket in Google Cloud Storage, and then this bucket can be hooked up to data store or BigQuery according to your needs on how you want to look at the data. So if in this case you choose to view it in BigQuery, then you can just go ahead to BigQuery and upload the data which is in the form of bucket from Google Cloud Storage. And then after that, you can use another Google's product called Google Data Studio in order to analyze the data from BigQuery. So the thing that I like about Google Data Studio is it's very, it's very integrated with everything in Google, obviously because it's Google's product. You can just create, charts, and then you can just make tables, or you can also, slice and dice it however you want. So yeah, you can. The short answer is you can.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just exploring with the Data Studio this week as well. Yeah,
That's
lots of
great.
things to learn. Yeah, Joey, I
All
think
right.
there are also a couple of questions still coming in. Do you think we have time to answer them?
I guess we could go for one of them. Let's see. Okay, we'll just first come first serve. So we'll go for the one that came in first. So there's a question by Vina. She's asking how to handle many channels with data science. Could we use the same pandas method?
I'm not sure what you mean by how you can handle channels with data science. Can you please repeat the question?
Oh yeah. So she's asking how to handle many channels with data science. Could we use the same pandas method? Perhaps Vina is asking if apart from Slack, can we do anything? Can we use the same thing on other channels?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. So in this project, I use my own channels, right? So if you are familiar with Slack, then there is a private channel where you can chat to yourself. So that's the channel that I use to as a work diary. So so using user token, it means that your bot is going to act as you. So it's going to have the privileges that are similar to you. So whatever you can access, then the Slack bot can access if you use user token. So another use of this, hopefully after I distribute it, if there's any contributor that want to develop this, then feel free to message me. Maybe we can do something out of this. You can optimize on the notification part of it. So for example, if you have a data in BigQuery where you want to detect anomaly or any sudden increase in your data, then you can use it. You can hook up the BigQuery in order to give you notification to Slack whenever something like that happens, and you can optimize on the Slack bot for this.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing, Florentin. There's actually a follow-up question which I think is also related to Vida's one regarding using it on other platforms and channel. But I will let you, continue chatting with them. There are questions actually on both YouTube and Facebook because cautious of time, and we also have 2 more speakers in the backstage. So Florentin, thanks so much again for your session. We appreciate it if you can continue answering the questions from the audience.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for listening to me too.
Thanks, Florentin.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Alexandra Cool, who is a policy strategist turned coder. Now, she is a part of the data science team at Synthesis, where she builds and layers bespoke data sets to give a fresh take on people's behavior, passions, and value. She is also one of our Women Developer Academy's graduates, so super excited to hear her session. She'll be sharing about how you can uncover sources of discontent in tweets for e-commerce platforms in terms of customer support. Alexandra will also walk you through text processing methods and discuss how to best use topic models. So without further ado, the stage is yours, Alexandra.
Cool. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hey, how's everyone doing? So I'm Alexandra, and in this session, we'll get a flavor of what topic modeling is, why you might want to do it, as well as some approaches. Joey has already done a great introduction, but a little bit more about me. In my past life, I was in the public sector where I did international policy, and I researched on trends affecting Singapore's maritime future. And then I did a career pivot. So now I'm applying my curiosity about trends and signals about future as a cultural data scientist at Synthesis. And also, yes, shout out to the Google folks. Also proud graduate of the Google Women Developers Academy. And it's a really wonderful initiative helping women in tech become even better tech presenters. So recommend checking that out. And in my free time, I volunteer with She Loves Data and the Women in Tech group as a blog editor where I help collect inspiring stories for the community. Right. So let's just begin with a kind of motivating example. Let's say we are an e-commerce business and we have our dedicated Twitter handle to answer customers' requests. And what we want to do is to get some kind of structure out of unstructured textual data, the tweets. And this is where topic modeling can come in. So why does it matter? And this is the part where we connect the data science part of the equation to the business value. So according to this marketing research on HubSpot, about 90% of customers, they rate having an immediate response as either important or very important when they have a question. And I mean, everyone's been a customer at some point, so you can imagine you just don't want to be left hanging. So first thing to get is that topic modeling is different from rule-based text mining approaches like using dictionary for keyword matching to get certain themes, for instance. It's an unsupervised method that detects patterns on co-occurring terms. So this means that it can help us find common themes or concepts in the textual data, even we're not quite sure about what we're looking out for. And to do this, I used Tweepy and a Twitter API to gather tweets seeking customer support from a certain e-commerce platform. And to focus my query, I only included tweets that were sent to the platform's dedicated Twitter handle for customer support, and retweets were excluded. So the next step is to clean and standardize the data set because we want to make our models perform better. So I use Regex and Spacey, which is an NLP library. And this involves removing things like URLs, as well as stop words like there and other kinds of noise, followed by lemmatization, which is getting the root form of a word. And then sometimes words are more meaningful when you consider them together as a phrase. And for this, I turn to the GenSim library. So I use it to identify words that co-occur more frequently than you would expect them to by random chance. And this includes things like delivery attempt and poor service. So I took 3 different approaches, and more of those approaches in a bit. The thing with topic modeling is that you generally have to predetermine the number of topics in advance. I chose 10, and this is based on coherence metric that measures the degree of similarity semantically of the key words within a topic. I built and ran a latent Dirichlet allocation model for the baseline. And this is a model that associates each document, which is the tweet in our case, with a probability distribution over topics. And the topics themselves are probability distribution over words. And then for comparison, I built 2 other models. So one is the bi-term model, and unlike the LDA, it infers topics based on like the co-occurrences of word pairs that occurs across the entire collection of tweets. And this model was actually designed to overcome the data sparsity issue that you tend to face in short documents like tweets. So in other words, it views like the whole collection of bi-terms as a mixture of topics, whereas LDA would see each document, each tweet as a mixture of various topics. And then another model is the non-negative matrix factorization model. And essentially what we're doing is that we're treating this as an optimization problem using linear algebra. So it also sees the document, the tweet, as a mixture of topic, but it uses a different mathematical framework. And usually it's a bit faster to run. So to visualize the result, we can use a dimensionality reduction method like t-SNEEZE, but it's more interesting to tend to draw straight into the topics and the common words that emerge. I'll be focusing more on the non-negative matrix factorization because that was the one that gave the most human interpretable results out of the 3. And there are actually different ways in which you can evaluate topic models. I went with the one which gave the most like human sense because we're doing this more for exploratory data analysis. So what we can see is that one of the key topics is on refunds. And this is often in relation to complaints about waiting for too long. So it's about under a third of tweets about that. And the top ranked terms, you can see words like time, refund, and product, for instance. And another one is where you have tweets that are about how the delivery status does not match what's actually happening in reality. And this is about slightly above 10% of the tweets. And here, the more common words will be things like deliver, say, package today. So just a few more on other topics. One of them is mainly about orders, about 10% of the tweets, and it ranges from demands to know why an order got canceled, or just requests for help to cancel the orders. And we can see that there's some overlaps with the earlier topic. And topic number 7 is about not receiving an email notification or reply. And topic number 8 is more about the link not working. So those are some of the more interesting topics that emerged. And we can see that topic modeling can be a good tool for doing this kind of exploratory data analysis. And we already can see that there are 2 sources of this content, and in a way that suggests some kind of priority areas to address. So it might be worth investigating to see how we could like streamline the current refund process, for instance. And there are also probably other like lower hanging fruits, like just making sure that as part of customer support protocol that your links are working. And yeah, we managed to uncover some kind of cool insights. Of course, there are limitations to using topic models. And as you can already see from the results earlier, that they will not produce highly nuanced classification of text. And the fact that it being an unsupervised method is kind of like a double-edged sword. So like while we don't need to go through the effort of hand labeling a set of data for this algorithm to learn from, it also means that we generally can't guarantee the outputs. So they might line up with what we're looking for, they might not. And that is to say that, in short, it's just always best to try out different methods, especially when doing text analysis. And in fact, a big part of it is in the pre-processing and the cleaning of the data set part. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Alexandra. That's really insightful. Really appreciate that you also, give us a shout out, and you're super on time. I think record-breaking speaker. It's really, really on time. Yeah. All right. I think, Florentin is still busy answering questions. And while we are waiting for the live questions to roll in, sorry, everyone, there's a slight delay on our end. So let's get to the questions that we collected during registration first.
Yep. So the first one is, how do you define noise and how do you remove noise from a given set of text? If the customer's explanation is filled with jargon but is urgent, how would you extract and categorize it?
Sure. I'll tackle the first part, which is more about the kind of noise. So essentially, how noise would be anything that will lower their topic quality or their ability to make it human interpretable. And for instance, here, part of the noise include the e-commerce platform names, because it's going to come up in every kind of tweet. So I had to create a customized top word list, and I included the e-commerce platform in that, for instance. And other things would be just either removing URLs, like I mentioned, or just, there's certain things that you can do as part of standard text pre-processing methods. I mentioned lemmatization. There's also stemming. And it's just a way to kind of standardize your text so that it's just easier to get cleaner results at the end of your topic modeling. And sorry, can you repeat the second question?
Yeah, sure. So if the customer's explanation is filled with jargon but is urgent, how would you extract and categorize it?
I see. So I think this question assumes that we're doing the topic modeling more in real time, but in the example I'm giving, it's not. So we're not facing that issue. And the idea is that if you want to create something that can respond to real time, because there are a lot of other components to think of as well, including the deployment, certain aspects to do with more of software engineering side, because it may work fine when you have your team or data scientists are working on it, but then it's a different issue altogether when you're deploying it. So then you have to just decide what are trade-offs that you are happy to live with.
Shall we do another one? Xiaxing?
Yep. I think we have a next one, which is a bot being used to reply real time back to the tweets? Or are they prioritized in a queue and highlight most urgent ones to customer support? I think you mentioned earlier just now that this is not really real time.
Yeah. Yeah, so the answer is that there is no bot because there is no real time in this example. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have a question that just came in from the comments. Let me just flash it up. So Vina asked how to analyze some words that will have ambiguous meaning.
Right. So this is a really interesting one, and thank you for asking that, Vina. So the topic models that I use here, it treats like a bag of words. So you get the context more from the other surrounding words, and that's one way to deal with the ambiguity of it. There are other more advanced model in which you use kind of word embeddings in order to detect the actual context in which is being used. So again, there are different trade-offs. Here in this case, it's simpler to explain and it probably might work faster, but you are relying more about the surrounding words to get the context of the topic, for instance.
Thanks so much, Alexandra.
Yeah.
Oh, actually one just came in. So let me just flash that out. This is by Yvonne. She's asking from Facebook. So what about emojis? Like, for example, if the text expression is not obvious to be detected as a frustration or complaint, but there is a use of, the angry emoji on tweets.
Cool. Thanks, Yvonne, for that question. Yeah, that's the thing about doing text analysis is that sometimes when you're cleaning, you don't want to accidentally remove things that will actually help you inform later on. But then there's so much variability that can go on. For instance, like special characters or punctuation, which may later actually be emojis that give you important information. So one way to do it is you could actually go back to a dictionary method. So in other words, like you encode the emojis to mean something separately, and after that you filter through your text for that so that you have a separate set of data that actually lets you track like, okay, what kind of emojis are being used and what could it mean before doing like the standard pre-processing, which might then remove the emojis in the process of text cleaning. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Alexandra. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting thing to tackle. What if this person has just, mixed feelings, happy, angry, confused, sad? Yeah. So yeah, I think this night, like, awesome questions has been coming in, and of course, like, awesome answers from you as well, Alexandra. Thanks so much for your time and for participating in La Kopi tonight.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. Next up, let's welcome Jet New. Jet is the workshop director of the NUS Statistics Society and has recently completed his machine learning engineer internship at Grab. During his internship, Jet worked together with scientists and engineers to develop Simkit. This framework is used to build generative and probabilistic models to optimize the real-time decision-making of the learning agents. We'll leave it to Jet to walk you through. Over to you, Jet.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me today. I'm Jet. Today I'll be sharing about Simkit, a generative and probabilistic model framework for reinforcement learning. So to introduce myself, I'm a computer science undergraduate at the National University of Singapore, and I'm currently the workshops director at NUS Statistics Society, where we deliver data science and machine learning workshops. My personal interest is in the field of reinforcement learning. During my summer 2020 break, I was fortunate to intern at Grab as a machine learning engineer. Over the last 3 months, I worked on Simkit, which can be used for many pricing and decision-making problems in Grab's ride-hailing and deliveries business. In my sharing, I will introduce the various generative and probabilistic models that I implemented using TensorFlow Probability, a Python library built on TensorFlow to combine probabilistic models and deep learning. Let's begin. So why do we need generative and probabilistic models in the first place? Many pricing, optimization, and decision-making problems make use of reinforcement learning, where the agent learns continuously from its interactions from the environment. With every action taken by the agent that interacts with the environment returns a state and a reward. In contrast to supervised learning, where the label is provided for every entry, reinforcement learning makes use of a reward signal to optimize its algorithm. Reinforcement learning is known to be unstable in training due to sample inefficiency and noisy observations and reward functions. Because the data is so noisy, how do we model the uncertainty in the data? So to model this uncertainty, Simkit proposes 2 types of models that can model the uncertainty in the data. Conditional generative feature models that model the distribution of states, and probabilistic response models that model the distribution of rewards. The conditional generative feature models model the conditional dependencies among different features. So for example, a feature such as time taken before purchase confirmation could be conditionally dependent on another feature such as the age of the customer. The probabilistic models model the distributional reward to facilitate stable training of reinforcement learning agents, as the agent can learn the uncertainty that comes with each response. Let's start off by introducing the conditional generative feature models. For that, we have the Gaussian Mixture Density Network, or GMDN, and the Conditional Generative Adversarial Network, or CGAN. So before I introduce the GMDN, I need to introduce Gaussian mixture models, or GMM. The GMM is a weighted sum of multiple normal distributions. A normal distribution is defined by its mean and its variance, which is what you see here. Pi here refers to the weight assigned to each normal distribution. And when you sum all the weighted normal distributions or components together, you get a Gaussian mixture model. So on the left is an example of a Gaussian mixture model of 3 components. As you can see, the probability density is the sum of all the 3 components. So as you saw previously, a Gaussian mixture model is defined by 3 parameters: the weight, the mean, as well as the variance, which is alpha, mu, and sigma over here. So a Gaussian mixture density network is essentially a neural network that predicts the parameters of the Gaussian mixture model. So a useful property of Gaussian mixture models is, if given enough number of components, it can approximate any smooth density. Therefore, the GMDN can be very useful to model noisy data. The second generative model is the Conditional Generative Adversarial Network. First, I need to introduce to you the architecture of a Generative Adversarial Network, or GAN. GANs are very popular today for its image generation capabilities. For example, as you might hear, deepfake. If you know some examples of GANs for image generation, you can share with everyone in the chat down below as well. The Generative Adversarial Network is a deep generative model consisting of 2 neural networks: the generative network that generates the candidates, as well as the discriminative networks that evaluates them. And these 2 networks will contest with each other during optimization. So the GAN framework has been popular in recent years for its performance in image generation, and conditioning features during training allows control over the generation process. The conditional GAN is constructed by feeding the data to be conditioned on to both the generator and the discriminator networks. GANs are known to be unstable in training, and therefore a number of improvements are made in Simkit. The Westerstein loss is used for the models, label smoothing is performed, and a diversity penalty is attached to the discriminator model. Aside from conditional generative feature models, Simkit also has probabilistic feature models. For that, we have the Bayesian neural network, Monte Carlo dropout, as well as the deep ensemble. The Bayesian neural network, unlike an ordinary neural network, has weights that are assigned a probability distribution. Bayesian neural networks can be trained via variational inference. Because Bayesian neural networks' weights are assigned a probability distribution whose parameters are estimated during training, the Bayesian neural network can be very useful to estimate uncertainty in the data. The second model is the Monte Carlo dropout, or MC dropout. During training and inference, MC dropout performs a few stochastic forward passes through the neural network with dropout applied. So MC dropout has been shown to approximate to Bayesian inference, like in the Bayesian neural networks that you saw just now in the previous slide. So dropout with neural networks allows modeling of uncertainty without sacrificing either computational complexity or test accuracy. The final model is the deep ensemble, which is an ensemble of randomly initialized neural networks. When models are randomly initialized, they tend to explore diverse modes in the function space and maps the loss landscape as a result. So these deep ensembles actually perform better than Bayesian neural networks in practice because variational Bayesian networks, variational Bayesian methods tend to focus only on a single mode. Therefore, the deep ensemble enables the modeling of uncertainty in the data very well as well. Finally, Simkit also has some methods for evaluating the performance of models. Simkit allows the evaluation of performances using quantitative metrics such as the KL and JS divergence, as well as qualitative visualization. The Kullback-Leibler divergence and Jensen-Shannon divergence, known as KL and JS divergence respectively, are implemented empirically. Empirically means that the dataset is separated into histogram bins first, and then the divergence formula is then applied on each bin. For qualitative visualization, a few probability density plots are also implemented in Simkit for visualization of the model performance. So on the left here, the surface plot represents the probability density function of the two-dimensional data. On the right, this violin plot compares the actual data distribution on the left with the fitted model's probability density function on the right. So with this, we can qualitatively visualize the performance of the model. So let me summarize some key takeaways from my sharing of Simkit. Simkit is a general framework for creating generative and probabilistic models, which in my case was used for reinforcement learning applications. I introduced to you the Gaussian mixture density network and conditional GAN for the conditional generative models. And for the probabilistic models, there are the Bayesian neural network, the Monte Carlo dropout, and the deep ensemble. So this internship was my first experience with probabilistic models and Bayesian statistical concepts, and I'm very grateful to my mentors back at Grab who enabled a fulfilling internship experience for me. I hope that I've shared with you the very interesting types of models that can model uncertainty to be used in big data and noisy environments. Thank you very much. My internship report and code are available in the link here. If you'd like to chat more about Simkit or reinforcement learning or anything else, do reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jet, for sharing. Really love that how you picked up so many things during your internship while while managing the NUS Statistics Society workshop as well. Workshop director. So, all right. I think as usual, the Q&A from the live chat will take a bit of time to roll in. So without wasting any more time, I think we can proceed with the questions that we've collected before the event first.
So one question we got was, in addition to predicting pricing for different services, what other use cases do you see Simkit being used in?
Okay, so in our case, we used it for pricing and reinforcement learning, but actually Simkit is a general framework for generative and probabilistic models, as I've explained just now. And the key benefit of such models, right, is that it is able to model uncertainty in the data. So in almost any real-world application, there's bound to be a lot of noise in the data. So however your model, right, most machine learning models only predicts a single value. So how certain is your model about that point estimate? So probabilistic models allow you to model the uncertainty there. And for example, in optimization, it can then adjust the weights according to how much uncertainty it may have. Generative models, on the other hand, allow you to model these conditional dependencies that may exist between features. So therefore, the models really can be used in any domain that has noisy data. Yeah.
Thanks, Jet. So, yeah, I think it did. So, to whoever out there who is tuning in and submitted that question, feel free to reach out to Jet on his LinkedIn or, check out his GitHub. Who knows, you can collaborate and create something new.
Yep. I think you have a couple of fans as well. Ming Liang and Sherman, they commented, nice one, Jet. Great work.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I think there's a question from Khoo. So let me just flesh it out. So Khoo asks, can share more on the MC dropout, like setting the probability of dropout, etc.
So for MC dropout, the probability of the dropout is a hyperparameter. In this case, it really depends on, so the MC dropout, why it works is because of the stochastic forward passes through the neural network. So one limitation of the MC dropout is that it requires many runs through the neural network in order for it to obtain the uncertainty in the data. So if we have a dropout of a higher probability of dropout, we would need more stochastic forward passes through the network, and that would sacrifice computational complexity. So in this case, it really depends on during inference, when, let's say, if you deploy the model in the real world applications, how much inference time can you afford to do? So that is how you can, that's one way you can tweak the probability of the dropout in the MC dropout model. Yeah.
We hope that answers your question, Khoo. Not many questions coming in, but a lot of people claiming that they're your number one fan. I think you can see that as well. Yeah. So yes, thanks, Joel. I think Jet will join you in the live chat pretty soon. Justin, I believe we have one more question. So it's a pretty interesting one, and I think it's closely related to Jet's current journey.
So someone asked, as a fresh grad without any working experience, how can we gain experience in the machine learning and data science domain?
Thanks for the question. Actually, I'm currently an undergraduate at the moment, so I'm also learning how to gain more experience in machine learning and data science as well. But my current approach is first and foremost to look out for the problems that people are trying to solve. So look around you, what are companies trying to solve, what are people trying to solve, what matters to them. For example, a few years back, autonomous vehicles were the thing, right? So what kind of algorithms, what kind of models do we need to implement autonomous vehicles? More recently, there is more work on fake news detection, which is quite a troubling issue, which has wide-ranging implications. And recently, the GPT-3 language model was released, which has a lot of potential as well in the types of applications that can be built with it. So look out for all these problems. You can then create personal projects, find out what difficulties people are facing in these domains. Of course, I don't think we are able to solve them, but at least be familiar with the difficulties and know some of the existing methods that try to resolve that problem. So with that, that's how I try to gain experience in machine learning and data science. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jet. I think that's all the time we have for tonight. If any of you still have questions for Jet, or if you'd just like to shout out that you love him, you love his presentation, and his #1 fan, keep the comments rolling in on YouTube and also Facebook. Jet will get to them very soon or even after the event. So thanks so much, Jet, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Jet.
So thanks again to all our speakers and everyone tuning in for joining our La Kopi tonight. If you'd like to rewatch this session, you can always check it out on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. The speakers' presentation slides will also be available on our website over the next couple of days, so don't forget to check in. You can also stay connected with us by signing up to our mailing list on our website or follow us on any of these social channels.
Yep. And our next La Kopi will be taking place on September 30. Backed by popular demand, next month's topic will be on mobile development. So if you or your team are working on Android, Flutter, Kotlin, or Firebase project, don't forget to submit your topic to us. And lastly, we want to hear about your feedback for this event. So you can provide us with your email address to stand a chance to win some gifts, and we will be selecting 5 lucky winners. So remember to check your inbox later this week. Meanwhile, stay tuned for our upcoming events on our website and social channels, and we'll see you again next month. Bye.